What's What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing having a good day, good evening. Well, I'm doing fine myself. Hope you have a good holiday after this video. Um, I gotta show you something that's gonna be very controversial, and the content creators is amazing because there's a lot of times the way I express it about when it comes to issue about race, maybe it might not have a proper way of coming off. And some people get mad, some people get in denial. But we're going to show you what is direct racism, what's indirect racism, but it's another one. This guy pointed this out, but he used these celebrities as a magnitude. And then I'm going to come back with the story.
Here's how you can take advantage of IUL to build generational wealth. Step 1. Purchase an index. Joe Biden called young black men predators who were beyond the pale while writing the law that doubled our prison population. Ellen DeGeneres built a billion-dollar empire on Be Kind while firing black employees who asked for diversity training. And Rachel Dolezal, she literally stole a black woman's identity, darkened her skin, and became president of the NAACP. While lying about being the victim of hate crimes she committed against herself. They smile in your face. They post black squares on Instagram. They say, I see you, and I stand with you. But history doesn't lie, even when they do. Here's the truth your favorite ally doesn't want you to know. The most dangerous enemies of black progress aren't wearing hoods anymore. They're wearing smiles, sitting in Congress, hosting talk shows, and leading our organizations. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at white allies the same way again. Because today, we're exposing 3 types of fake allies whose actions reveal what their words try to hide. The politician who cages us while campaigning on our freedom, the entertainer who profits from our culture while silencing our voices, and the white savior who steals our identity to feed their narcissism. Let's start with the most powerful one.
Listen up, label owners. I'm about to share with you some
With the most powerful one. In 2020, Joe Biden won the presidency with overwhelming black voter support. He was the guy who worked with Obama. He understood our struggles. He was safe. He was an ally. But here's what they didn't show you in those campaign ads. In 1993, Joe Biden stood on the Senate floor and talked about predators on our streets. Not criminals, not young people making mistakes. Predators. He said these people were beyond the pale and that society had no idea how to rehabilitate these people. Everyone knew who he meant. The subtext was clear as day. Young black men were animals that needed to be caged. And Biden didn't just talk about it. He wrote the cage. The 1994 crime bill was 356 pages of destruction dressed up as public safety. Biden didn't just support it. He helped write it, championed it, and bragged about it for years. This bill was a weapon aimed directly at black communities. And here's how it worked. It gave $12.5 billion to build more prisons. Not schools, not community centers, not job programs, prisons. Because the solution to poverty and the crack crisis wasn't opportunity, it was concrete cells and steel bars. The bill created truth in sentencing laws that forced people to serve 85% of their sentence with no chance of early release for good behavior. It put 100,000 more cops on the streets. And guess where most of them ended up? Not in white suburbs, in our neighborhoods. It created the federal 3 strikes rule. 3 crimes and you're gone for life, even if the 3rd offense was non-violent. And it made 60 new crimes eligible for the death penalty. 60. The devastation was immediate and brutal. Between 1994 and 2009, the prison population doubled. Black people, 13% of the American population, became nearly 40% of the prison population. Families were ripped apart, communities were hollowed out, and Biden got to be vice president. But wait, it gets worse. This bill didn't just lock up adults. It created the school-to-prison pipeline that's still destroying black children today. The crime bill created the COPS program, which put federal money into policing schools. The result? Black girls became 3.6 times more likely to be arrested at school than white girls. Black boys became 2.4 times more likely to be arrested than white boys. Think about that. A black child acting out in class, something every child does, became a criminal record instead of a trip to the principal's office. All thanks to Joe Biden's bill. And here's the part that really stings. This bill supercharged the racist 1986 1996 Anti-Drug Abuse Act with its insane 100-to-1 sentencing disparity. 5 grams of the street version, popular in black communities, got you the same sentence as 500 grams of the powder version, popular in white communities. Biden's crime bill made sure those sentences stuck. Now, some black leaders did support the bill back then. They were desperate. The crack crisis was destroying communities, and they thought more policing was the answer. But leaders like Maxine Waters and John Lewis, they voted no. They saw the trap. They knew what Biden was really building. The Congressional Black Caucus asked for community investment and alternatives to incarceration. Biden gave them prisons and cops. Fast forward to 2020. Biden finally admitted the bill was a mistake. But notice what he did. He blamed the states for how they implemented it. Not the law he wrote. He got his career boost, his vice presidency, his presidency. And we got mass incarceration and broken families. That's not an ally. That's a politician who used black pain as a stepping stone to power. This is exactly why Black Stories Untold exists. To expose the lies they dress up as help. To reveal the truth behind the smiles and speeches. If you believe these hidden histories need to be told, subscribe to our channel and help us spread the truth they don't want you to know. Now, back to the video. Ellen DeGeneres built a billion-dollar empire on a simple phrase: be kind to one another. For 17 years, she danced across her stage, gave away cars, and positioned herself as America's favorite ally. As a woman who publicly came out who faced backlash in 1997, she understood discrimination. She was safe. She was inclusive. She was one of the good ones. Until a BuzzFeed investigation in July 2020 pulled back the curtain. The workplace Ellen created wasn't kind at all. It was toxic, abusive, and especially hostile to black employees. One black woman's experience tells you everything you need to know about performative allyship. She suggested diversity and inclusion training. Not demanded, not protested, just suggested. And she was reprimanded for it. She objected to segments that used the term spirit animal, a phrase stolen from native cultures and turned into a joke. She was told she was too sensitive. When she raised concerns about racism on set, her white male boss dismissed her by telling random stories about some black friend he had. She called it what it was: performative nonsense. But the pattern went deeper than one employee. Staff members were told they couldn't speak to Ellen if they saw her around the office. Not, please give her space. Not, she's busy. They literally could not speak to her. The woman who preached kindness to millions wouldn't even acknowledge the people who made her show possible. One employee took a month off after an attempt on their own life. When they returned, ready to rebuild their life, their job had been eliminated, just gone. Another employee created a GoFundMe to pay for medical costs their company insurance wouldn't cover. Ellen's team made them shut it down. Why? Because it might hurt Ellen's brand. Your health crisis is less important than her image. When the story broke, Ellen's team said they were heartbroken and deeply sorry. But here's the thing. They knew. Executive producers admitted there were problems, but claimed they couldn't manage the day-to-day operations. Translation? We knew, but we didn't want to do anything about it because the money was too good. Ellen represents every white celebrity who uses black culture for profit, who invites black artists on their show, dances to black music, and quotes black activists, but silences, dismisses, and discards black people the moment they speak up behind the scenes. The Be Kind motto wasn't a mission statement. It was a marketing slogan. And when it stopped making money, Ellen ended the show and walked away with her fortune, while the people she hurt are still trying to heal. Rachel Dolezal was born on November 12, 1977, in Montana to white parents. Her ancestry is German, Czech, and Swedish. She had blue eyes and blonde hair, but around 2009, Rachel decided that wasn't interesting enough. She darkened her skin with bronzer and spray tans. She permed her blonde hair into tight curls. She started claiming she was black, and when people asked questions, she told her adopted black brother, "Don't blow my cover." This wasn't a phase or a personal identity crisis she kept private. Rachel weaponized her fake blackness to steal positions that belonged to real black women. She got a job teaching Africana education at Eastern Washington University, teaching black history while lying about being black. She became president of the Spokane NAACP chapter. Let that sink in. The organization founded to fight for black civil rights was led by a white woman in blackface. She was appointed chair of the Police Ombudsman Commission, a position meant...
Let me stop right here. You know why they want to get rid of these programs or DEI, and so this white woman was very clever. So technically, she fell into what they call civil rights, and she used women, and she used white women because that's what DEI, affirmative action. She's so smart enough, she probably figured that out. So even if she pays herself as a black woman, she's technically the woman. She still, either way, if she go back being white, she can still get the civil rights that the Trump administration them despise. MAGA, Trump, and all these other people, where white men talk about this. You see how the way to use it?
To hold police accountable by lying on her application, claiming she had black, Native American, and white ancestry. But Rachel didn't just steal jobs. She manufactured victimhood to make her lie more believable. She reported multiple hate crimes against herself, including a noose left on her porch. Police investigated and found something interesting about one hate mail package. It had no...
Look, if you're tired of just getting by financially...
Yeah. So now we get down to what's really going on.
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
Shut the hell up, you little Oompa Loompa. Nobody has oppressed white people. His platform, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, their entire miserable lives is being the white victim of nothing. I've been saying this since I started making videos on TikTok a couple years ago. These people are terrified of a white minority. That's what this is. I got cousins with their Christian crosses and Bibles that voted for the rapist. I got in-laws that voted for the rapist. It's just a difference of opinion. These people went to the voting booth in November. Think about this. He's a rapist. Yep. 34 count felon. Yep. Asked for the execution of 5 black men in New York City. Yep. The entire world watched in horror while officers were beaten for 3 hours and he sat on his fat ass shitting his diapers. Yep. Man cheats on every wife. Literally stole from children that are dying of fucking cancer. Yep. Grabbing women by the pussy. Very likely a pedophile. Yep. You think it was about cheap eggs? They would rather burn Rome to the ground than thrive and be ruled over by a black woman. And I'm going to keep saying this. These people were triggered by a black man in the White House instead of out in the fields picking their fucking cotton. That is a fact. LBJ, and I'm going to keep quoting it until people start to wake the hell up, said, this country will vote for the lowest white man who's literally tearing down your democracy, raping women, molesting little girls, while he's stealing your wallet over the most qualified black woman, and that's why we're here. And then this little hobbit pushes the Christian nationalism statement, this great Christian nation. So listen, you little dumbass. Why don't you sit down on your little kindergartner chair and I'll educate you? The middle passage, where white people stole black people because they were too lazy. Probably your ancestors. 1.4 million died while being tied to the bottom of a ship for 6 fucking months. And when they died, they were thrown in and bull sharks ate them. Then we had slavery. If they didn't work hard enough or didn't listen to us, we beat them. Then we had racist founding fathers that we worship as gods because of the fucking Second Amendment. But let's forget the well-regulated part, you dumbasses. This great Christian nation said that black people were only, 3/5 of a white man? So Christian, isn't it? And then we had Asians in internment camps. that we locked them up just because of the demographic. Women couldn't vote until the 1920s. You want to talk about the Native Americans? You want to talk about the Trail of Tears where 18,000 died because we forced them to walk 1,200 miles because that piece of shit Andrew Jackson broke all the treaties that we made with them? How about Pete Hegseth that gave medals to white soldiers that murdered innocent women and children on Wounded Knee? Segregation, Jim Crow, over 8,000 lynchings, you dumb fucking hobbits. What was Christian about this country? Not a goddamn thing. But according to people like J.D. Vance and the orange pig Donald Trump and people that voted for him, that is their version of Christianity. White. White, 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 white. White man in charge. When are we going to acknowledge that's what this is about? That's all this has ever been about. Now, you might celebrate the orange guy somehow on Judgment Day, and God knows I'm going to celebrate that one day when it happens, because I know that God's going to hold him accountable. He is a symptom of a larger sickness in this country. So is J.D. Vance. So is the Make America White Again movement. And it happens because people that look like me are still sitting silently in your privilege. That's what privilege is. That you have the privilege to shut up when you see what's happening. Tomorrow I'm going to put out a video. There was a pregnant woman that ICE grabbed, pregnant, in the snow, handcuffed with one arm, and they drug her through the snow and she lost her baby. Yeah, it was really about the legal way to come here, my ass. It's about anybody that's not white getting treated like shit. This is what happened in Nazi Germany. And we have concentration camps. Nothing to see here. I don't get political. Then you're complicit in what's happening. We're not going to remember the words of our enemies, rather the silence of our friends. And too many of you, just like during the civil rights movement, are sitting in your fucking privilege because it doesn't affect you. You're just as complicit. Just like the 3 officers stood by and watched George Floyd get murdered by a white man. You're complicit in what's happening through your silence because you're not willing to be uncomfortable. And talking about that, let's talk about the No Kings protest. And watch my unsubscribes go up. Yeah, up, because I don't give a shit. That is privilege. You protested in April and July and October. Great job. Did you get a white participation trophy? Ooh, you really showed them. 7 million out of 330 million people on a fucking Saturday outside of working hours when it's convenient for you. Wow, you really put up a fight. Ooh, that must have been really difficult. What have you done since? Have you gone on a general strike? Did you spend on Black Friday? Have you posted publicly on social media? No, you didn't, because it wasn't comfortable. And that's why we're here. And for you left-leaning bros, the Midas Touches and the Tyler Cohans, you don't talk about any of this shit either. Because it doesn't make you money. You're fucking grifters. You don't even talk about Israel, the genocide that's happening over there.
Excuse the language, but all the foul language. Hope this might not get demonetized, but I'm sorry. This video was playing. I couldn't bleep it out. So we examine this, right? We examine the mindset and what's really going on. I'm playing this guy.
These are not your everyday teeth in a day. No. So I have a regular provider that I did talk.
Lately, there's been a lot of white boy and I think I'm a white boy knockouts. And we need to talk about that and dive deep into how this topic relates to when the great white hope agenda fails. I'm your host, Cool Colas, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. So let's get into it. For the sake of this video, I'm going to specifically focus on the Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua fight. Now, I recently saw clips of it because I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the entire fight, but I know about what happened. I know the highlights, and I know kind of the big things that are important for this topic. That being said, Jake Paul got knocked the fuck out. Man, look at this fool. He looks like he don't even know what planet he's on. This motherfucker is seeing stars and all types of shit. Jake Paul got his ass whooped so bad, he was looking like Tommy recently on that last episode of Power Book 4 Force when he was running away from Diamond when he was tagging that ass like he was motherfucking Sonic the Hedgehog. Although I don't really watch boxing like that, I probably should get more into it for a couple different reasons. The first thing that I'll say is that I have a very vast respect for the boxing sport because of its realism. Unlike WWE, there's this idea of it being a real athletic competition where you're seeing whoever was the best fighter in that match win. Whereas in WWE, it's scripted and you have to base people's wrestling abilities on how well they're able to show athletic feats in the whole flow of the way they carry on matches. And what I've been noticing is that in both WWE and in boxing, the Paul brothers have been trying to blur those lines of showing that somebody actually worked for it. And the reason why is because in the dominant society, they're going to try to create paths for themselves no matter what way they can. So these people can just show themselves to be athletic individuals on YouTube, become a sensation, and all of a sudden they're able to port themselves into some type of sport where a lot of other people, especially black people, had to work hard as shit to even get in the positions that they were in the first place. A fighter like Jake Paul, he's essentially taking the realism out of boxing by doing what he's doing. What he wants to do is create this idea that he is a real boxer, when in actuality he is a YouTube personality who was able to pipeline into boxing. So in other words, the fame came before the boxing. The boxing didn't pour him into fame. The problem with the dominant society greenlighting these scripted narratives and undeserved accolades in boxing is that it takes the realism element out of it. Therefore, they can put in these great white hope narratives, and they use Jake Paul and other white wrestlers as well too as a means to allow this to go on. See, the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight did something that was quite interesting. It showed that the great white hope agenda can fail. Because what it showed you was that although they create this image that they have this white boxer overcome the odds and best this black, when shit actually gets real, they get their asses whooped and therefore can't be the great white hope. Because often, and I've said this before, these white supremacists in the dominant society are weasels. And to them, a win is a win no matter how they get that win. And I have a feeling that they're going to do this thing where Jake Paul's going to go online bragging that he was able to go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua, and that's basically a win for him. And so the reason why this is important is because the one thing that you have to understand is that the Great White Hope agenda is not about outright winning and getting a championship per se, but at least showing that this person is so great and they will one day best somebody who is a black boxer or a black competitor in some way. Same thing with the Rocky movie. This was a great example of the Great White Hope agenda without saying it directly. And if you look at Rocky's character, he's a mix of a couple different things. In the past, I did a reel on Instagram about this, and I said that he was based on Muhammad Ali, but I was partially right. He actually was based on a few different boxers because there were a couple different agendas that they were trying to do in order to make Rocky look strong. Because the whole point of having a great white hope is having somebody who is generally an underdog who can overcome all of the odds. Rocky was actually based on 3 different boxers. And I'm going to show you the different ways that he was based on each of these boxers. He was based on Chuck Wepner, he was based on Muhammad Ali, and he was also based on Joe Frazier. But again, there were 3 different reasons why these boxers are being brought up. Rocky was based on Joe Frazier in the idea that he used to run up the stairs and punch meat just like Joe Frazier did. This was directly taken from him, and Joe Frazier himself even commented on how this was something that he used to do but was put in the Rocky movie. And I told y'all before, the dominant society, they're a bunch of weasels. They study the things that black people do, especially icons who they low-key have some admiration for. And they put that into the characters that they create because they have this idea of trying to remix a lot of black culture and then portray it on screen, make money from it, and make you think that these are their actual heroes. In the past, I said Rocky was like Muhammad Ali, and again, I was partially right. The reality is, the story of Rocky was based on dethroning Muhammad Ali.
If you want to trade profitably, you need to stop trading demo or live account.
Wow. Shout out to his channel, Cool Catalyst. Yeah, he's very wit young man, that he's very bright and know how to pick things apart and show the mindset, how some people really view black people. It's really, and I mean, and what the guy said before, he hitting on all cylinders is true. The first video was definitely spot on. Shout out to Chronicles for his channel. He spot on how this direct racism. And that man broke it down. There's two different types of racism. Is the ones that keep quiet and be a silent agreement with it because it's all about they really don't want to oppose this. Some people have the mindset they don't want to oppose this, and then some people, and then you got some people who that look like him don't give a damn, and they just coming out with the truth. And you know when people get tired of bull crap, they can't flip and say, well, you see, it's us versus them. Well, you have people that look like you that say no, they want to expose the truth, how it's ugly on all sides. But you got some people that want to teeter-totter and ride the fence, and that's exactly what it is. You got the other half that want to come off like they good, but they really, when it comes to a certain personal issue, they don't want to rock the boat, so to speak. And so it is either nay or yay. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And some people, I think it really messes with their spirit when you have to make them choose. Are you going to be with them, or you going to be with righteousness? Are you going to do the right thing, or are you going to do with it subconsciously? You do them because you feel like you share the same resemblance as them. Because that's what it comes down to. And really should be about doing the right thing, regardless of what you look like, what your parents, what your race, and anything else. But we observe that some people don't. And then when they ally with you, this is what they really want. And this is why this probably explains why they're so obsessed with black people. But they want black culture, but they want to make a merchandise side. That can go from the left, and that can go from the right. And this is something that you have to learn. And it's really sad that some black people that I made videos that they would side, thinking that they side with the left or the right, and they don't understand the individual who they side. They're not siding. They don't know how to look past the righteousness, but want to demonize their own people. And it's really sad that people have that kind of mindset. But anyway, yeah, shout out to the channel. But it goes to show you how people really are, how two-faced they can be. And you can find in all different attributes of every mankind or race of people. But when it comes to us versus them, and this is a historical part of it, you think you have an ally, but sometimes in some cases, you don't know who your ally really is. See, what they might do in front of you is what they do behind your back. And that's what that video pointed out. And you don't know what people do behind your back. You think that they're your friend. And I've come across that I thought people were cool and that looked like some of them that were Caucasian like anybody else, and they revealed that side of them when it comes to a certain topic, and it opens up your eyes. And like one person said, just start talking about reparations and stuff like that, and it exposed it. I'm like, oh shoot. And whatever that person, they would ride with you, but when you mention that reparation or something similar to that, making a crime bill, then they jump into the victimhood of, see, now why can't we gotta get persecuted for me being Caucasian or white, whatever? It's about but really it's through the government. It's doing what is right. It's not about that individual you gotta give me as a white. Or it's the government. It has to come through, and this is what they don't understand. Other people got reparation too. All other groups, the Japanese and certain Native American groups. You got people in Israel. You got other people that got reparation for what the injustice what is done. But the injustice of what happened here is almost a 4 trillion to almost trillions because of lost land, lost property, and it need to be repaired. And so it's going to be, and if the government don't do it, and people choose not to, they don't do it, then like any other society, it's going to go downhill till you make it right. I mean, look at any group of people have done wrong to another people in history. Their civilization don't last too long. They might have got away with it. They try to erase it. But do you know that we find out things that maybe these societies was the way America's mindset was. But look what it did. When I mentioned about Babylon, Egypt, or whatever, you think they want their societies to admit what they did to their people, to a certain demographic of people during their time? You think someone would say like Egypt would want to give up reparation for what they did to the children of Israel? They know what they put them in bondage, have them subjugating, worshiping their gods. At first it didn't start off that way, but it was but God revealed in the Pharaoh's heart that he started looking at these different demographic of people who was not Egyptian, don't worship the same God, don't look at a different system, and say in heart of his heart, say, you know what? If we don't do something about these people like they do now, we got to find a way to get rid of them. We got to find a way to punish them, put corporate punishment. We got to find a way to make them subjugate to the point that if they suffer into sanity or they suffer into being to death. And that's what America, when it comes to our demographic of people, have done. If they can some can market you, then the envies and jealousy will lead to that. That's why we have a difference on race. That's why there's always been this racial thing. It's not going to go away. Even though there's white people that truly want to do the right thing, like any other people. But you don't, like any other people, but black people got, when it comes to not just white people, any other people, who's really who you are. Even people that look like ourselves. We don't, can you blame a people that have been justified? And then, when this was the cold part, after that they don't tell you about the slavery part, but the people got compensation after the Civil War. The slaves didn't get no compensation, but the ones who lost their property and value, those white men and with those white plantations got compensation. And that's why to this day they have the wealth. That's why they took the land. That's why and so when he set up that Jim Crow, it wasn't about we offer you your land. You gonna give me your land, or we gonna move you off the land. And this is what America have done. And it's history. But they think that you can continue this forever with different groups of people, and it always comes back to the descendants of the slaves. And it's like if we can find a way to shut them down and have something to flip it and look how the way Egypt was. Egypt would say, that they would come in rudely and say, take out the boys but keep the girls. Look at when you look at this is biblical. Look at every civilization from the time then to now. Sometimes they take out men. Sometimes because a man is a threat. Black men are physically a threat, but yet they're mired, and even though they have the exotic admire them, but at the same time they're physically a threat. That's why you hearing all these people going to, oh my goodness, I'm being, because it's haunt their conscience. It's crazy, It's like, dang, okay, if you want to do the right thing, then give us the thing and leave us alone. But it's almost like they can't. And I make videos like they obsess. And this is something, I don't know, it's passed down genetically, because if you look throughout genetically in history, from all the way back to centuries, when black people had their own thing, that were doing good and striving and wasn't committing no crime, wasn't breaking no law, didn't get no subsidy, just built up, come together like any other community, build up. They came down, use an accusation, get a wink from the local government that, hey, these blacks are acting like criminals, so we're gonna just Tulsa, Oklahoma, Plantation, Florida, Lake Lanier. But they said we don't want to be accounted for that history now. But you see what's happening. Because even though that was centuries ago, look at them same people, or the descendants, suffer today because of Donald Trump's economy. And he's trying to reimburse them. But see, even if they don't, and they did the same thing, trying to reimburse, just like their ancestors did, because they were white women at that time. They lost their land and property due to the Civil War and everything. Now it's something else. Now it's doing the economy back then. And then when black farmers want to do the same, they told them no, because they feel like it's a competition. It's not about being equal. And so really, Joe Biden didn't do nothing, and Trump ain't gonna do nothing. So guess what? America's gonna fall up under a curse, but it's gonna come back and hit. And the Most High, He's gonna give them back for what they done. And all those who anticipated and stood in agreement with me, you think they're crying now because they feel like they being unfairly because of history, and they're gonna try to erase it. You can't erase something, just like these other civilizations did. The judgment that's coming of injustice. Maybe you can ignore it. Maybe you don't want to talk about it. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. If it was in history of Babylon, if it was in history of Egypt, if it was in history of other things, America, you're next until you make it right. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, and if you don't believe me, go read your Bible. Go read the Old Testament. Look and study what those people done. And look what the outcome came. You want to push white supremacy, white nationalism? You want to put the descendants of the slave statue? We're gonna get that. Donald Trump is causing you to have the curse to come upon you. In the end, you're gonna still stuff with the curse. Mark my word. All right then, guys. Take care. Be blessed. See you on the next video.